Nobody could have predicted that the sequence from the popular Crocodile Dundee trilogy, starring Linda Kozlovsky, was anything other than cinematic magic. Prepare to be shocked though, since some of that famous scene was as authentic as it gets. If you thought those experiences down under were all staged, then ready to be amazed. Before you watch, make sure you're by yourself because I'm going to offer the behind-the-scenes tale that Linda herself hardly ever told. Wait until the very end, and I'll explain how a straightforward camera approach almost cost her her life and how her unfiltered response ended up being the film's high point. You recall the scene. Linda's character, Sir Charlton, follows Mick Dundee's lead and sets off into the Australian outback. She reaches into a crate to extract what looks to be a harmless lizard at one point, but it snaps its strong jaws inches from her palm. She gives the iconic gasp in the final movie, a reaction so real you'd think it wasn't acting, as she recoils with the ideal balance of interest and dread. The twist is that the snap was genuine. A little monitor lizard, trained to remain motionless inside a mesh container until frightened, was obtained by the production team from a local handler. However, a crew member unintentionally bumped into the side of the crate as the camera was rolling. In a fright, the lizard jumped forward in response to the vibration. As Linda reached in, she felt the icy point of its teeth brush against her wrist before it pulled away. What about that gasp? It's not in the script. That was just Linda, responding to real reptilian surprise and quickness. When the director shouted cut after the take, Linda leaped back and gripped her wrist. The crew rushed in anticipation of a severe bite. However, Linda soon demonstrated to them that the lizard had only lightly scratched her skin, leaving a thin line that was indicative of a lesson she had learnt in life while watching Hollywood. The subsequent events solidified the genuineness of the moment. Linda insisted on keeping the initial take rather than requesting a reshoot. According to reports, she stated, "I want that in the movie because that's the voice of every woman who's ever faced something completely out of her comfort zone." With the director's approval, film history was created. Years later, Linda acknowledged in interviews that she still cringes when she remembers that scene. "I closed my eyes when I felt those teeth, and I nearly screamed," she said on one TV program. "It required all of your strength to keep from dropping it and running." However, she added that she learned something about herself from that experience. Bravery is acting in spite of fear rather than ignoring it. And that realization struck a chord with viewers, transforming a fleeting response into one of the movie's most cited female empowerment scenes. According to film experts, the camera angle was quite important. In order to make the lizard appear much closer to her face than it actually was, the crew inserted a narrow lens through the mesh of the crate. That photo, which combined actual danger with artistic framing, matched Linda's sincere response. Long before computer-generated imagery made it simple to fabricate such shocks, it is a classic illustration of how realistic stakes and practical effects can come together to produce memorable cinematic moments. Before we wrap up, a brief piece of advice for prospective filmmakers: provide actors with actual, but safe, stimuli if you want genuine reactions. Maintain a clear escape route, safety equipment on hand, and a qualified professional on set at all times. Even in that moment of surprise, they protected the actress and showed care for the lizard, which is why Linda's lizard sequence worked. To ensure you don't miss another incredible Hollywood surprise, hit the like button, post your favorite Crocodile Dundee moment in the comments, subscribe, and ring the bell if this behind-the-scenes account of Linda Kozlovsky's real-life terror blew you away. I appreciate you viewing, and I hope to see you again soon. Stay bold and curious.